Good afternoon, everybody, and we hope that your day is going well so far. Um, we feel blessed. It's another day that the Lord has made, and so we rejoice and we're glad in that. Had a thought on our mind that we just wanted to drop. Uh, Certainly now, at a time like this, we're in COVID 19 lockdown, stay in place order from state to state. It's all varying. Some states are opening up. God bless them. We pray health and strength for everybody. And some people just have to get out regardless, based on your career and your job type and all of that stuff. But having said all of that, I thought about the process of management in my career field in my life now. Um, I am a project manager. I am a resource manager, and so we develop teams that would go forth and help us to service a client within the healthcare IT field. And so, a part of the management process as we put together a project is building teams who can get together all the components of one end goal, and that is what we call when we are requesting to present a proposal to a client, or once they have accepted that proposal, we sign contracts and we present, a standard of work that we can agree upon, and within the request uh, for us to present a proposal, and within the standard of work, which is the scope of work and what we would do, there's a key word, which is a key principle to the whole point of a project and the whole point of seeking business with any client is to give them something that they do not have, or to make better something that they do have. And that is a word, term, principle that we use in business management called deliverables. So ultimately, if we request that a client allows us to service them in whatever way, shape, or form within their organization, um, part of them even considering us is the fact that, well, what can they do for us? And what will they deliver to us if we are to reward them with this contract or with this business? Um, so I'm just going to skip and jump straight to the point, because if the end game is the deliverables, what we're asking this client to allow us to do for them in order for them to pay us, um, there's a critical step. And after you start all of the discovery and the planning and the programming and the development, I think we mentioned that it's key. These are all things in the beginning, but the most critical point in the project process before you begin to either implement, activate, or optimize healthcare systems, IT management software or hardware, whatever the case may be, is that there is a period in that process which is called the testing phase. And within testing proves out what is the exact problems and issues within what we have promised to deliver. And without testing, we would never discover those things that need to be readdressed before we hand it over to the client, only to have them not be pleased with what we promised to deliver. So it's an important principle to realize that there can be no delivery unless there has first been very critical analysis and testing. You must be tested in order to be delivered. That would preach. And that's what we wanted to talk about today. So from the book of Job, the 23rd chapter and the 10th verse, there Job says that, but he knows the way that I take. Talking about God. He sees me. He sees me struggling. He sees the tests, all these tests that I'm going through. And how many times have we said that? How many people have got a negative or a positive test on coronavirus? How many of us have had, situations that we're being tested through now? How far can you stretch a meal? How far can you stretch $1? How far can you stretch a gallon of gas? We're considering things that maybe we didn't even think that much about before. And so we're considering where we go, where we visit, who we visit, how we visit, making critical decisions because of what we're going through right now. The testing process is important because it really determines and it brings out or it magnifies what's ever wrong. And without testing, you could not determine that. So you take together the analysis of everything that you want to do, the discoveries of everything that you want to do, but you see that you can't do. And oftentimes in the testing process, you find out you have to go back to the drawing board, which was that initial piece. And like I said, I didn't go through all the steps. I wanted to get you to the testing piece to cut this short and to truncate it. But when you get back to the drawing board, you go right back to development. So in other words, if you can't pass the testing process, then you have to have more development. In other words, you need to grow some more before God can use you. Because if you cannot survive the testing process, then you will fail to deliver to God what he expects out of your life. And with failed deliverables, anybody in business will tell you, you lose business, you lose clientele, you lose your good name, you lose your good rep. Also, you lose the opportunity or the potential for future opportunities because you failed to deliver. And so it's important that we survive the testing process and the testing period. And so when Job says here in 23 and 10 that the Lord knows the way that I take, he knows the way that I'm going. But Job said this, but when he tries me, he says, I'll come forth like gold. I'll be pure. I'll be radiant, something that God can use. 1 Corinthians, I believe it is, the 3rd chapter, talks about those things that we present to God when it's time for testing. And we can present to him as either wood, hay, or stubble. Or we can present to him with or as gold, silver, or precious stones. The Bible bears out within that text. Paul, the accredited writer there, tells the Corinthians, he says, wood, hay, and stubble, once the testing comes, which he said would be by fire, the trial would be by fire. Once the fire comes, Paul points out that the wood, the hay, and the stubble don't survive. They cannot survive the fire. They are all weak things that are dependent on other things to hold them together, to keep them together, to bear them out, that they are what they are. Whereas gold, silver, and precious stones are what they are. Heat, fire, trials only make them better. So the question is, are we going to be wood, hay, stubble, or are we going to be gold, silver, and precious stones? Because there will be testing, because testing proves or bears out to God who we really are. There will be trials, but thank God for his grace, because he will not allow you to be tempted above that you're able, but he will, with the temptation, first of all, get in it with you, and then hand you the keys to unlock everything from the inside and to get out and make a way of escape for you to get out of it. And so I don't know about you, but I'm excited about that because I'm looking for a way of escape. Sometimes you go through so much and you deal with so many things until you really are looking for an answer from God. And it's funny how he revealed just that highlight in work that I do every day and feel pretty successful with being able to do that, having many clients at the end of the day, and once projects are finished, having them to come back and say, man, you delivered as promised. It was just like you said it was going to be. And anytime we fall short of that, anytime that we fail to deliver what God is looking for in our lives, you can expect to be tested. The other side of testing is not just what's being tested, but it's also those who are involved in the testing process. Because what I found out in management, that when we get to the testing period, whether we're testing devices or software or programs, whatever that we're going to implement and activate and give to that client the way that we told them we would, the testing process also reveals those that surround you. Because prior to the testing process, when you first land, at a client site, wherever you got to fly to, wherever you got to work, you meet up with your new team, everybody's happy, hunky-dory, and you can eat with everybody, you go out to eat after work, you hang out on the weekends, you shop together. I mean, you are each other's keepers. A lot of times when you're away from home, and you can build great bonds and friendships and relationships on the road. And let me tell you something, that's all in the beginning. You can get to the development stage, you can get to the staffing stage, the resourcing stage. You can go through all of the talks and all of the meetings and all of the PowerPoints and all of the Skype business meetings and the whole 9 yards. And at the end of the day, that testing process is guided by timelines, because now when it's time to deliver, I've got to make sure that everything we've done heretofore has led us to the point of presenting or delivering to the client what we said we would. And so testing now means that myself with other managers and directors, also, not just internally with our traveling teams, but the clients, their operational leadership teams, their executive leadership teams, everybody is waiting to hear, was everything tested and did everything pass? Because guess what? If you have failures, chances are, if you haven't mapped out the timeline right, it changes the timeline for everybody if something fails. Because now you got to redo everything that you've already done. And now you got to extend or push out and spend more money to stay longer and to work longer in order to fix what didn't pass the test. Do you see the message in there? So we lose time. We lose years of good ministry. We miss time. We miss years of having greater relationships, more fulfilled lives. Because every time we fail a test, go back to development. Go back to the drawing board. Go back to the beginning. And you have to repeat the process all over again, because guess what? In order to validate if you're going back to fix all these things that you were supposed to have fixed by now, well, guess what? Okay, you may have fixed it, but we still got to test it. This is better than y'all responding. So now you got to be tested again, because you caused us all to miss a deadline. And so the best of friends who started out eating together and drinking together and going to movies together and touring towns and riding on dinner boats and all the stuff we do, and eating pizza and going to the park, we do as groups and as teams on the road. You fall out with each other because one person fails their part of the engagement, and so now we all looking crazy. And now we all looking bad because my work was dependent on you getting done what you needed to get done. But because you missed, now I can't do my piece. And then because I can't do my piece, the next person can't do their piece. And so forth, and so on, and so forth. So it's important to be ready to pass the first time. Because then once you have been tested, once we test the product, once we test the environment for the software, for the hardware, whatever it is we're doing, if it passed and everything is good, now we can validate that the activation date, God, this is good, I'm telling you, I wish you could see it like I see it. then the activation date that was set to make all this stuff jump off and go live. It's not just talk no more. I'm going to bring it to the church. It's not just the preacher calling you to the altar and telling you spin around 7 times because God getting ready to work it out. You're getting ready to get the new house. You're getting ready to get the new job. You're getting ready to get the coke bottle wife and the muscle bound man. You about to get all of that stuff. You about to become a boss. You about to have your own business. You about to have 3, 4 cars. You about to own 4 and 5 properties. Man, all the talk is well. If you pass, you get to the day of activation where all of the talk is now what goes live. So now I have what I say. I have what I said. And it didn't come easy because I had to be tested first in order to show that I was ready to go live. Now, once that happens, you continue to run as you're activating, as you're implementing, as you're pushing out, as you're optimizing, and you're finding new discoveries, and you're developing and still pushing and teaching and training, all while you're activating and implementing. So the work never stops. And then ultimately, those who are responsible to pay you and reward you for all of that hard work, they can say, this is what you promised to deliver, and you delivered it within the time that you said you would. You saved us money within our budget. You kept us from going outside of what it was that we wanted to put forth. But now, because you met the deliverables, I've got more work for you, because now you've showed them what you're able to do. We show God what we're able to do when we endure the test. And that's all Job was really saying in 23:10. It's like, man, one version of the Bible says he can cross-examine me all he wants. The Message Bible says, for Job 23:10, he said, Job said, he can test me, he can cross-examine me all he wants to. He said, no, I passed the test with honors, man, because I'm living through it. Yeah, sometimes we moan, we complain, we groan, we hurt. And sometimes it just is what it is. I mean, it's life. It's the test. Nobody gets to avoid it. No temptation has come upon you that's different than what it goes on for any other man. We all go through it. We all got to deal with it. But if you pass the test, then you become delivered. And it's really that easy. It's really that simple. And then you go from glory to glory. You go from success to success. You go from blessing to blessing. Because you were able to bear the test. So remember, you're no more delivered, no more capable of being delivered than you are able to pass the test. Got to go through that process. You got to get through it. You got to understand it. You got to conquer it. You got to dot every I, cross every T. Don't leave nothing out, because the whole team is waiting on you. All of our success is based on you having success. So I'm praying that you be successful. And I know you're praying for your boy that I be successful too. I just had that thought in mind. Don't want to take up a lot of your time, but please enjoy that. And when you get some time, study a little bit more the book of Job. It'll kind of help us through this season. Because no matter what, it's kingdom over COVID. Y'all already know that. And bottom line, end all, be all. Hear the conclusion of the whole matter. It's God over everything. Point blank, period. It's well with my soul. Hope it's well for you today too. Man, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I think it's down here, somewhere down here. Hit that subscribe button. Then click the thumbs up if you liked it. Hit the comments. Tell us what you think about that. What's your thoughts? What you may be going through. What you may want to have prayer for. Somebody just to pray in conjunction with you. Maybe it's just good for you to hear that somebody else is dealing with some things too, but yet God is still talking in the midst of it. Subscribe to the channel, man. We won't drive you crazy. You'll only get alerted if we pop something new on. And that's it. So ain't no sales pitches. Just a regular old average everyday preacher just trying to make it like you. And thought I'd share a message of hope to all God's people. Kingdom over COVID. God over everything. Y'all be blessed, man. Love y'all. Pray for you, boy.